What happens if a future monarch determines that a position at the center of royal life can no longer be guaranteed by heredity alone? The destiny of an entire branch of one of the most well-known families in the world could be subtly altered by a change in policy that is taking place behind closed doors, rather than a scandal, a public altercation, or a big declaration meant to make headlines. Because there is apparently a struggle developing behind the royal walls that has nothing to do with property, money, or titles. A much bigger question that affects the institution's identity itself lies at its core. How should the monarchy truly appear in the coming decades? And that one question has put Prince William and Sarah Ferguson on opposing sides of an increasingly challenging divide, according to an increasing number of stories. Sarah Ferguson clung to a peaceful certainty for years. She was confident that her girls would always have a place in the larger royal family, even in the face of all the controversies, setbacks, and public storms that affected her family. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were daughters of a prince, grandchildren of a monarch, and members of a globally recognized bloodline, while never having been considered as your working royals. It felt like a lasting sense of belonging. It felt shielded by heritage and blood. However, that feeling of confidence seems to be waning now, and the cause is much more structural than any one disagreement. The idea of a thinner, more focused organization, which has been subtly altering the monarchy for years, is at the heart of the conflict. For a long time, King Charles has advocated limiting the number of members of the royal family who actively perform official activities. However, a lot of royal analysts think Prince William plans to expand on that idea once his own reign starts. Furthermore, family who live on the periphery of royal life may suffer significant repercussions if their evaluations are correct. At this point, the narrative shifts from focusing on individual characters to the crown's architectural design. According to reports, Sarah Ferguson has become more concerned about what she believes to be a changing attitude toward her daughters. She believes that Beatrice and Eugenie have silently supported the monarchy for years, upholding public goodwill and resolving familial issues that were mostly out of their hands. They worked to maintain their dignity in the face of chaos that they had no control over. However, despite these efforts, there is a growing belief that they might not have much of a place in the future structure that the next generation of leaders envisions. That idea seems more like quiet erasure to their mother than reform. Examining the story's financial aspect helps explain why emotions are running so high. There have reportedly been talks on long-term support plans related to members of the larger royal family. Disagreements regarding the distribution of royal resources and who should ultimately profit from them are said to have arisen as a result of such discussions. According to sources, King Charles has frequently favored stability and gradual changes, especially when it comes to family whose situations have become complex. He is characterized as someone who would rather ease change rather than push it. His approach to the family's more delicate situations has been largely influenced by this urge toward continuity. In contrast, Prince William is often characterized as taking a completely different approach to the same problem. He feels that accountability, clarity, and a clear separation between those who formally represent the crown and those who do not are essential to the monarchy's existence, according to royal analysts. Blurred lines are a burden to him. According to this perspective, public trust is gained via openness rather than maintained through custom. Thus, a widening philosophical gap is said to be the outcome. Family harmony is prioritized by one side. The other places more emphasis on institutional transformation. Beatrice and Eugenie are caught between these conflicting instincts somewhere in the center. According to reports, Sarah Ferguson has been irritated by what she believes is an intentional attempt to exclude her daughters from the larger royal structure. She is fiercely protective and worried about the direction things seem to be going, according to friends and analysts. This was never only a money issue to Sarah. It is so intimate. According to reports, she feels that her daughters are being evaluated based on associations rather than their own behavior and through the prism of controversies that were never their own. Although their familial ties have frequently been the focus of public scrutiny, Beatrice and Eugenie have mainly avoided significant controversy by pursuing independent careers and leading private lives outside of the customary royal system. For their mother, the distinction is very important. She believes that people shouldn't be held accountable for situations that they didn't cause and couldn't have avoided. However, the York family's problem goes far beyond appearances. It also touches on harsh realities. Concerns about long-term security, financial assistance, and housing arrangements have gradually come up in public discourse. Future assessments of how royal property is used may focus more on whether or not its residents are actively doing official royal duties, according to reports. People who have traditionally had access to royal homes despite not being employed by the organization may be impacted if such changes take effect. Reformers see that strategy as merely reflecting contemporary expectations. The notion that service should come before privilege. Critics perceive it as a weakening of enduring family responsibilities. A subtle revision of the definition of loyalty inside a dynasty. And a lot of the current conjecture seems to be driven by that tension. Sarah Ferguson reportedly sees the changing circumstances as proof that her daughters are progressively being pushed to the periphery of royal life. It has apparently become a real source of distress for her, regardless of how true that perception may be. She worries about where momentum is going because she sees it developing in one direction. However, the fact that Beatrice and Eugenie themselves are reportedly adopting a very different strategy is arguably the most intriguing aspect of the entire narrative. According to sources, the sisters are more concerned with preserving stability than their mother, who is frequently depicted as passionate and loud. They are said to choose diplomacy over escalating hostilities. They seem to favor patience over confrontation in public. And instead of fighting for the monarchy's future, they appear committed to adjusting to whatever comes next. Palace observers claim that the sisters have a clear-eyed pragmatic understanding of the reality of their situation. They understand that the monarchy is evolving. They acknowledge that public expectations have changed, and they know that whatever role they may play in the future will probably need them to carefully navigate these changes rather than overtly oppose them. According to reports, this has caused a challenging and delicate dynamic inside the family. On one side is a mother who is adamant about protecting her kids from what she perceives to be unjust treatment. Daughters, on the other hand, might secretly think that if they fight too hard, things will get worse. Defending your position inside a family might occasionally put you in danger of moving away from it, so it's a delicate balancing act. In the contemporary monarchy, where existence frequently hinges on understanding when to push and when to give, this paradox is most evident. This tale is particularly important since it might provide a window into the future of royalty in general. For many years, royal rank frequently came with presumptions, enduring support, inherited privilege, and a form of institutional protection that could never be completely taken away by debate. However, a lot of analysts think that these expectations are now shifting. The new paradigm seems to be more concerned with functionality than legacy. On contribution as opposed to connection. On public service as opposed to family status. The York family will not be the only ones affected if that tendency persists. It would be one of the biggest cultural changes in the monarchy in many decades, redefining who the crown serves and who it chooses to continue. Because of this story is significantly more important than it first appears. Because it is fundamentally about more than just Sarah Ferguson. It goes beyond only Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Furthermore, Prince William isn't even the main focus. It concerns a monarchy at a true turning point in its history. One root adheres to custom, upholding established family structures and the responsibilities that accompany them. The other builds a smaller organization centered on public accountability and well-defined functions after reform. The choice between those two visions might define the House of Windsor for future generations, and the friction between them is getting harder to ignore. According to reports, Sarah Ferguson is currently attempting to safeguard her children's future by opposing a reform that she believes will leave them behind. Beatrice and Eugenie are apparently choosing patience over protest in an attempt to negotiate a changing royal scene without falling victim to it. Furthermore, it is generally accepted that Prince William is still dedicated to his idea of a more modern, streamlined, and leaner monarchy. One of the most fascinating unresolved issues facing the royal family today is whether such conflicting objectives can ever genuinely coexist. Because the true struggle may not be about titles, homes, or money at all, as one royal age gradually gives way to another. It might be about something far more basic, the concept of what it means to be a royal in the 21st century. And the answer to that question could have long-term effects on the House of Windsor.